What's up, guys? We are back. Hopefully no longer lagging. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to fix it again. So we're just going to continue watching this debate live stream. It's been going for a few minutes now. They asked about the, coronavirus, all that BS. This seems really, really scripted and boring and stuff, but we'll see how it goes after a little bit.
China's fault. And you know what? It's not Joe's fault that it came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away.
There are a bunch of actors. If you guys want me to pause this or not, if not, I'll try to talk over them. But this coronavirus shit is never going to end. It's only going to end when the public allows it to end, and the public is never going to allow it to end. And with all the 5G towers set up and all the Wi-Fi frequencies, with how high the radiation levels are, they have to have a constant illness as a blanket excuse for the radiation sickness people are going to be experiencing. And we mentioned 2 weeks ago on a live stream that both of these two are biological female actors. They don't have Adam's apples. Look at Trump's hands. Those are small female hands. It's ridiculous. They have feminine faces. They don't have male features. Like, they're very soft facial features. Their noses, their chins, they don't have brow ridges. They have hairlines at a very old age. They're all biological. They're both biological female actors. It's part of the deception. It goes a lot deeper.
I want to talk about both of your different strategies to handle
He thought I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well,
that's obvious.
Do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President Biden? Okay. Let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap in his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Well, no, I'm not shutting down the nation, but there are.
We need more shutdowns. You've been shut down for 8 months, and things have never changed.
If you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up. More social distancing. Do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums. Do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools. Schools, they need a lot of money to open. They
would say the same thing about you if you were up there. I have giant hands and a huge dick. What are you talking about?
To support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President Trump,
I think we have to respond, if I might.
Please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
They're females, and the moderator's a man. That's what's funny.
Forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York. You look at what's going on in California. You look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Democrats all. They're shut down so tight, and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is
they're in their homes getting radiated by Amazon devices and Google Home devices.
And it's like, as an example, I have a
Alexa,
young son. He
please radiate me for another 24 hours.
By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people. I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids, but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And that's what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Simply not true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the.
They're just a bunch of actors. The shutdown is about basically breaking people's will as well as installing the smart city infrastructure while people are locked inside. And then they're going to slowly phase in how they want people to act. And how they want people to act is going to be how people are going to have to act for the rest of their lives.
Testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. Come on.
President Trump, let me follow up with you quickly.
By the way, I will say this. If you go and look at what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my...
They don't care about businesses dying. They all bought Amazon stock, and they probably have triple the size of their bank accounts now. All of these secret society assholes, these Freemasons, these Illuminati, they're fucking having underground parties right now, laughing at these puppets, laughing at people wearing masks in their cars.
States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans.
Do people actually watch this bullshit?
And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that.
Everyone's wearing a mask.
It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
President, New York has lost more than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what about...
When you say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend.
We looked at the
Michigan,
schools in New York, and they had Wi-Fi towers in front of them. I'm sure the nursing homes would too.
Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen.
They're having spikes despite being locked down because people are just getting radiated in their homes.
Seniors. We have to protect our elderly.
And they're getting sick from modern guidelines.
Especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems, and we will protect them. We have the best testing.
It's clearly
in the
scripted.
world
Yeah,
by far.
we know it's
That's why
scripted.
we
It's
have
such
so many
bullshit.
cases.
Let me follow up with you before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you fight this?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony, but he did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to
5G
wear
plus
masks.
chips plus
Anthony
AI
also
social
said,
media
if you
equals
look back,
surveillance and
exact words.
subdued
Here's his
people.
exact words. This is no problem.
Yep.
This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're
People
going to
aren't
move on
gonna
to the
take
next
action.
section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in
I mean,
January.
even if people
He
took
didn't tell the
action, they
American
would just
people.
radiate them on the
He
streets
was
and cause a
told
real
this was a
breakout.
serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than
Just hold a BLM
much worse
just
than
hold
the
a
flu.
BLM poster, you'll
He
be
went
fine.
on record and said
You'll be immune to radiation.
one of your colleagues recorded that in
Can you
fact he
predict
knew
when the
how
aliens will
dangerous it
attack,
was, but he
Frank?
didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he
I don't
didn't
know
want
how
us to
long people are
panic.
going to believe
He
this
didn't want us-
coronavirus
Americans
bullshit
don't
pandemic.
panic. He panicked. But
Because they haven't
what?
even started
In the
killing
meantime,
people
we
yet
found
for
out
real.
in the New York Times the other day that
Once they actually
his
ramp
folks
up
went
the
to Wall
5G
Street
and
said
turn the
this is a really
radiation as much
dangerous
as they
thing,
can.
And a memo out of that meeting, not from his
It's hard to say.
administration, but from some of the
They could
brokers
stretch
said,
this out for
"Sell
years and years
short,
easily
because we
without
gotta
having
get
to stage
moving."
anything else.
It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to
one
give you
this is
30
one I
seconds
have
to
it.
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one, I
on.
don't know.
The
Somebody
reason you
went
would
to
fake
Wall
an
Street.
alien
You're the one
invasion
that
is
takes all the
to
money
make
from Wall
things
Street. I
even
don't
more
take it.
strict for some reason.
You have raised a lot of money. Tremendous amounts of money.
It
And
seems
every
like
time
they're
you raise
staging
money,
the
deals
public
are
for an
made.
alien
I could
invasion,
raise
though,
so much
because
more money
1 month
as
ago
president
there
and
was
as
like a
somebody that knows
trailer,
most
very
of those
popular,
people.
millions of
I
views
could
for
call the heads
hidden
of Wall
alien
Street, the heads
information.
of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able to.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Average contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start
Look at this man in
with
a
the
dress.
security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight.
He looks
Just last
a little
night,
pretty with
top
all that makeup
intelligence
on.
officials confirmed again that both
no
Russia
one's
and
hiding that
Iran
jawline
are working to influence this
those
election.
hands.
Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price. If I'm elected, they're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's stalking them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true.
Fake
and then
nonsense.
What happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question, why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you. Let me ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, let me respond to the first part as Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife, and you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million.
Who listens to this bullshit?
You know, someday you're going to have to explain why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew all about that, and through John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic.
How do people watch this? That's what I'm asking.
The one thing that's
like even if you know it's all fake nonsense, it's still fucking boring. Like you're not even saying like anything like entertaining or reactive. They're just like repeating old shit we've heard over and over again.
All of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher.
Like, okay, Russia interferes with the election, but okay, why does that even matter at all?
And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well during your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money.
All the
and they
political
probably
channels are
still
having an orgasm,
But
whether
now,
Trump or
with what
Biden,
came
whatever
out
Trump or
today,
Biden talks.
it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails of the
When do you
kind
think
of
the world
money
will
that
end?
you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice
I
president
don't know if the
when
world will
some
end
of this
because
was happening.
these people are
And it
parasites,
should
they
have
need
never
hosts.
happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice President Biden, you may respond. 30
straight
seconds.
here.
And then I do want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and
Frank
in
Joe
fact,
accidentally
is
called Russia a
talking about
business.
me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one.
They wrote Trump's
Number
script better.
two, this is a president. I have released all of my tax returns. 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding?
People like
Why
Biden
are
and Hillary
you
Bush are
unwilling?
evil, not
The
Trump.
foreign
So why
countries
are both
paying
Biden
you
and
a
Trump
lot.
biological
Russia's
females wearing
paying you a
suits?
lot. China's paying
With
you a lot.
collars
And
halfway
your
up their necks
hotels
to
and
hide
all
their
your
lack of an
businesses
Adam's
all around
apple.
the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants, underwrote it. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly
What's
than
the obsession with the
people were
tax
saying
return?
$750.
I don't know. I guess they're just
I
trying to
asked
attack
them
people's
a
character.
week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid. Because at some point they think it's an estimate.
Talking
they
about
think
all
I may
useless
have to
shit.
pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your account?
Yeah, it's all
Nobody
fake
told me that.
bullshit. Like, who
Excuse me.
cares?
And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you.
Are they really women?
I
Yes.
prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes.
That's what kind of throws you for a
Number one.
loop.
Number two, I don't
Like
make
once you
money
realize
from
they're
China.
both women and
You do.
everything's
I don't
fucking
make money
fake,
from
like, is
Ukraine.
anything they say
You
even
do.
true at all?
I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million.
Like they're talking about money in their family. They're
they
both
even have
probably
a
in this like
statement
elite club
that
where they're
we
just
have to give
printing money and
10%
eating caviar
to
every
the
day.
big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions
I have
about
to
all of this,
respond to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Yes.
about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you
fucking
when you're
man.
going to release them? Do you
As
have
soon
a
as the audit is
deadline for
finished.
when you're going to
Fucking
release them to the
moderator.
American
Treated
people?
worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
a time.
people in there,
Okay.
deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance to
Some point
talk
about
about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Yeah, the moderator
Why
is
did
some like
he's been
short
saying this
Indian
for 4
dude with a
years?
giant head wearing makeup.
Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years you're going to release your taxes. Nobody knows, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes.
Vaccines
or you're
coming
paying
with military
taxes that are
confirmed by
so
Trump.
low. When last time he said
I don't know
what
what
he
they
paid,
mean by, like,
he
the
said,
military
"I
is
only
gonna
pay that
distribute
little
the
because I'm
vaccine." Like, I
smart.
don't know what they mean by
I know how
that.
to game the system. Come on. Come on, folks.
So,
Quickly, President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions to both of you
Sure.
on this.
Like, what are they
I
going to
was
set up
put
camps
through a
and have
phony
people
witch hunt
make people come go to them?
for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. $48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent $1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong, because the kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken, I mean, your
Field
brother
stations
made
for
money in
vaccination.
Iraq, millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune, and it's all through you, Joe, and they say you get some of it, and you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine,
U.S. military is probably
we had
stationed
this
in your
whole
local
question about
Walmart
whether
with
or not,
vaccines.
because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing.
How long is this shit, guys?
Number one. Number two,
I should
the
just
guy
fucking
who
go to
got in
bed.
trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do, because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
Never
President
to
Trump,
deal with
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
But could I just, one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was
Any
sadly
way to
no
flee the
longer in
vaccine?
the military service.
There's a lot of people that aren't going to take the vaccine. I think actually like over 50% of the population wouldn't take it. But they might make it so like you can't get certain things if you don't take it. Like if you're on a government pension, they might make you take the vaccine.
183, and they gave him a $3
Like
million
you probably can't travel on a plane
All
without
right.
taking the vaccine.
I'm going to let the Vice President respond to that quickly, and then I need to get to a question to you. Very
No
quickly,
basis
Vice
for that. Everybody investigated that. No
They,
one
yeah,
said
they
anything
could
he
like
did was
someone in
wrong
the chat.
Ukraine.
Like we've
Okay,
gone over this.
President
They
Trump,
could
this
ban
is
you
for
from
Since
like
you took
interstate
office,
driving.
you've never divested from
Like,
your
oh, you don't
business.
have a
You've
vaccine,
personally
you can't come to
promoted
our
your
state
properties
because you might get
abroad.
everyone sick.
A report
Like,
this week, which was
and people are
referenced,
gonna
does
support it,
indicate
too.
that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed.
Like, this is
and they're
just
all over the
bullshit. Like,
place.
no one
I mean,
cares
I was
about
a
this.
businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody
75% of
it's
people aren't
listed.
taking the
The
vaccine.
bank account was in
It seems like they can even just like
2013. That's what it was.
put it in the
was opened
spray it in the
it was
air and
closed in
inject it through
2015, I
through
believe.
mosquitoes, and
I
then they can just
decided,
radiate
because I
people
was
with
going to
5G.
do-
So
I
it
was
doesn't
thinking
really
about
matter if
doing a
people
deal
get
in China,
vaccinated
like
or not.
Millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it.
In
I
my
decided
town over
not
the
to
past
do it.
month, they set
Had
up
an
even more
account open,
cameras.
and I closed it.
Okay.
They've been putting up
Excuse
more
me.
cameras in
And
New York,
then,
which kind of
unlike
scares
him,
me. What do
where
they
he's
need all the
vice
cameras
president
for?
And he does business. I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed
Is like
it
the
before
police
I
going to
even
come knocking on
ran
your
for
door?
president, let
On
alone
October
became
20th, we
president.
saw you
Big
driving without a
difference.
mask on in
He
your
is
car.
the vice president of the United States.
You have 5
and his
points
son,
off your
his
social credit
brother,
score.
And his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money every
President Trump,
place he
thank you. We
goes.
do need
Not
to move
true.
on. I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has
This whole
caused the
idea of
deficit of
separate
China to
countries
go
is
up, not
ridiculous
down.
because all of the global
With China,
leaders in every single
up,
country
not
are
down.
basically elite people
We are
working
making
together
sure
to
that
deceive
in
people.
order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules
Been
internationally
seeing a lot
as
of
well.
blood donation
When I
trucks
met
around.
with Xi
Yeah, I don't think people want to donate blood
when I
anytime
was still
soon.
vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China,
politics,
these are the rules. You play
politics
by them,
in its entirety
for not paying by them.
is basically just a puppet show to distract people.
Run it, and that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range
justifying
of other
their
things when we were
agendas.
president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to respond to that.
Okay. Very quickly, and then we're going to move on to North
Korea.
Korea.
$1.5 billion from China to manage after spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two, number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what specifically are you going to do? What specifically are you going to do to make China pay? You've said you're going to make them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave $28 billion.
New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers' money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money. Didn't come from China.
You know who the taxpayer is? It's called China.
If everyone literally
China
just stopped wearing a
$28
mask
billion,
and listening to the news, things would go back to normal
they devalued
eventually.
Their currency, and they
Imagine
also paid
that.
up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything.
Then they
also,
just radiate people and people drop dead on the street, so maybe not.
Steel, because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel industry.
Okay, Vice President Biden, your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making in the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont. They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want to talk about North Korea.
Excuse me,
I do want to turn to 10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10 seconds.
a typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Everyone is wearing a mask. The vaccine will be the same.
That's why I got elected. Let's get off the subject of China. Let's talk
You think most people are just going to obey and get the vaccine?
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a long-range missile test, and yet North Korea recently rolled out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and continues to develop its nuclear arsenal. Do you see that as a betrayal of the relationship you forged? Just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation.
We need to get onto the next walk because this is so important.
Over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. I said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul. Millions of people would be dead right now.
President
we
Trump,
don't have
that's
a war,
30
and
seconds.
I have a good relationship.
Vice President Biden, to you, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you
Frank,
would
are
be
you
able to
predicting a
rein
new
in
mystery
this
illness when
persistent
everyone
threat?
gets sick from the
Because I'd make it clear,
vaccines?
which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal, because here's the I made it clear.
Who says this is live, but this is pre-recorded?
When I went to China, that they
does
said,
that
why
even
are you
matter?
moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea?
They can make up new illnesses every day, and people would believe it.
And we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off. And they have much much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
They tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet
Vaccines are the
10
end game.
seconds,
Once they
Tried to
implant
meet
you,
with
it'll
him.
be
He
over.
wouldn't do
Who
it.
knows what tech
He
they
didn't
got that they're
like
pushing it so hard?
Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't
Yeah,
do it.
who knows?
Okay, I
know
got to
for
give him a
fact they
chance to
tried.
respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's okay. You know what? North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
Yeah,
relationship.
I'm curious if anyone actually knows
We have
what
a
is
lot of
actually in the
questions to get
vaccine and
to.
what it's going to do.
We had a good relationship with Hitler
From a control
before
perspective.
He, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. The reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you. That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it
let's
didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump. Okay, we do
They
need to move
left
on.
me a mess.
Vaccines and
North Korea was
microchips?
a mess.
Yeah, to
In fact,
keep you
if I
safe. They
remember
have
the
to
first 2 or 3
vaccinate you so you don't
There
get
was a
sick
very
or so you don't get other people
dangerous period in my
sick.
first 3
And they have to
months before
microchip
we
you
sort
so
of
they
worked
can
things out a little
know
bit.
where you
It
are
was a
just to
very-
make sure you're not
they
getting anyone
left
sick.
us a mess, and Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them.
They're saying the
is
first round of
healthcare, as you
vaccines
both
will be
know.
placebo.
Today there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision. Run it as well as you can to my people. Great
They
people.
wanted to put stuff in a
Run it as
vaccine.
well
Why would
as
they
you
wait
can.
for
I
the
could have gone
CV
the other
vaccine?
route
Wouldn't they
and
just
made
put it in the
everybody very
cart once
unhappy.
people take his
They
children?
ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is
I mean, I don't know
terminate
the
it. We
logistics
have the
of
individual
what's in the
mandate
vaccine and if it
done.
would
I
impact
don't know
development
that it's
enough
going
that
to
the
work.
person
If we
wouldn't even
don't
be able to
win,
like grow.
We'll have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a
They already
brand
have
new,
chips in
beautiful
Sweden.
healthcare.
That's why no
The
one is wearing
Democrats
masks.
will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very
We'll give this
important,
like another
we have
20 minutes,
180
15 minutes
million
maybe.
people out there
If it just
that have
keeps going
great
bullshit, we'll
private
just
health
stop
care.
watching it.
Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180
Is
million
healthcare anything
plans,
else just to
180 million
make a
people,
bunch of
families.
Masonic doctors a bunch of
Under
money?
what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine, he won't even have a choice.
Boomer removers?
They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay,
Let me
Vice
respond.
President Biden, yes, this is for you.
I
Your
think it's
healthcare
over in
plan
10
calls
minutes.
for
Someone's telling me
building
this is
on
2 hours
Obamacare. So
long.
my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden care. The public option is an option that says that if
This
you, in
isn't like a
fact, do not
debate.
have
It's
the
like
wherewithal to
just
be-
talking
if
about
you
nonsense.
qualify
They're
for
not even talking to
Medicaid
each other.
And you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies that's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now, by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually
Frank versus Rat Boy would be far more entertaining.
Why
Why would I debate someone that stole every single idea from my YouTube channel?
He's been
It would be
talking
doing
about
myself
this
a
for long
disservice to
time.
even
There is
give any
he's never
word that
come up
comes
with
out
a
of his
plan.
mouth
I guess we're
credibility.
going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we've been waiting since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious.
He would never debate me.
The fact is that
Even if I agree to it.
It's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's your response
it's
to them?
ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that
Everything's
the fact
run
that
by the
there's
government.
a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think health care is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable health care. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as a whole range of other people who, in fact, are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick? Because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's
Did anyone
gone.
end up sending
We
you
have to
credible
provide
plagiarism
health
from
insurance
Rat Boy?
for people at an affordable rate. And that's
Some
what I
people
do.
sent me a few
President
clips,
Trump,
but
he was
Your
Your
there
response.
for
I sat down and
47
did most of it
years. He
myself.
didn't do
Let's
it.
just say Rat
He was
Boy,
now there as
if
vice
this doesn't
president
end
for
Rat
8
Boy's
years, and it's
career, he
not
has
like it was
very good
25 years
connections.
ago. It was
Let's just say that.
3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice
You would
president.
call it a fucking
I
career
mean,
if it was built off my
she
YouTube channel.
is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like you went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, oh, we're going to have fracking. And you never asked that question. And by the way,
Yeah, I can't take this. This is like nonsense. There's no point in addressing any of this stuff. There's no point in talking about it. It's just more like fake bullshit, distracting nonsense. We'll do a few questions, then we can wrap this up. So, you guys can go over to Primal Edge Health's live stream and ask him if he has abused or sacrificed any of his children lately. Maybe he's abused his wife, if he even has a penis, but who knows. All these Freemason douchebags and all these people that are in the club are just here to deceive you and not tell you the truth about anything. So if you guys have any questions for a few minutes, we can do that. I didn't realize that this was going to be such garbage. Otherwise, I would have just done a regular Q&A live stream or something. Is your glucose honey raw? Yes. Standing for 2 hours sucks. I usually stand all day. All they do is gaslight in politics? No, just like they gaslight on my YouTube channel. When I point out 50 instances of plagiarism, and that's the big thing lately because this clown got on the Joe Rogan podcast, they'll say, oh, well, you don't own information. And I'm like, well, the definition of plagiarism is passing off someone else's information as your own. So he took information from my YouTube channel and he passed it off as his own, but you're telling me I don't own the information? So it's not like, it's stupid shit. They just gaslight and lie and try to justify whatever puts more money in their own pockets. What does acne cause? Is it a cholesterol deficiency? It's usually liver dysfunction. Are you tired? Yeah, I need to get some sleep. Have you ever had any weird DMs on Twitter and Instagram? I've had some people try to catfish me, like, not like date-wise, like Illuminati and Freemasons try to DM me and shit. And I can tell right away they're secret society members. Most of my DMs on Instagram now are like, I'll go on Instagram for like 2 minutes when I'm using the bathroom. And I'm always getting recommended these models, like really, really pretty. And then I look at their hands and their face, and I realize it's a dude in a dress. And I just DM them, hi, pretty boy. So right now I'm keeping track. I think I'm at like 15 models right now that are all very pretty males that are skinny, that only follow vegan diets, that have breast implants. Only one of them has blocked me so far. Only one of them has blocked me so far. I'll show you guys one of them if I can access it on my computer. I don't think I might not be able to. Yeah, this is one of them. So I DM'd her, do people know you're a boy? And she blocked me. Like, pretty face, but look at that body. Like, who's getting tricked? Like, look at her fucking arms. Look at her, like, fake tits. Look how big her arms are. Look at the shoulders. Like, it's a dude with a pretty face. It's a dude with a pretty face and breast implants. It's kind of funny, actually. Look at those hands. Look how big the body is. That's how you can usually tell. Men have much bigger skulls than females, but in relation to the body, men have very large bodies compared to females. I don't care, I do him. Yeah, no, it's pretty like, if you just look at the face, it's pretty face, long hair, wears girly clothes. But then you look at like the proportions, the size of the hands, how lean they always are. They almost have abs. You know, their hands are gigantic. Her hands are as big as her fucking head. It's a tall dude. Yeah, it's a tall dude with abs and breast implants. And I bet you without all these Instagram filters and lighting and posing and shit, like, if in person, they'd look like a fucking dude. I don't know. I guess that's how we'll wrap up the live stream. My Instagram DM thoughts. Even people against the transients don't believe how many they are. No, it's crazy. Seems like every fucking person is a fucking MTF transgender. I'm just curious. Are there just so many more MTFs than FTMs? Better to grab you with, my dear. I mean, I don't think they're going to be beating me up anytime soon with those skinny arms, but make a professional male or female telling video. Yeah, that's a good way to get kicked off YouTube. I was going to make a video. Will woman get bulky lifting weights? And the main point of the video was that most female influencers aren't actually females. So They're basically a bunch of dudes wearing sports bras and yoga pants pretending to be females. So they're creating unrealistic expectations for females, but I don't know if I can make that video on YouTube. I think that would that might be a bad idea. And I was gonna use Summer Rae as an example of a biological female. And then I started looking at her pictures and I was like, oh shit, that's not a good example because that's a dude that does a lot of squats. Thoughts on the coming month and what's to come? I don't really know. What's funny to me is, and I should have said this towards the beginning of the live stream, is people joke about how we've never had a female president, but like I bet you half of these males that were presidents are actually biological females. And if Kamala Harris, who's a female, was actually the first president, it'd be funny, like, because people would think she's the first female president, but she's actually a dude. Which is funny to me that we've already had biological female presidents. How do you usually tell if it's a male to female? Very easy to tell male to female. Very easy to tell. Torso, skull, facial features, hands. It gets difficult to tell if a girl or a guy wanted to go trans when they were like 11 or 12. It can be a little hard to tell, but it's still usually very obvious. From birth, it can be difficult. Summer Rae is a dude. Yeah. We can look at that one real quick. I took a picture of her. She has one picture where her Adonis belt is really obvious. There's also, like, look at her, and her mother's probably a dude too. Honestly, just look at that. Like, look how wide her shoulders are. Look how long her hands are. How long her arms are. There is a picture of her with, I don't know why I keep saying her. There's a picture of Mr. Summer Rae with Bradley Martin. And it was like, she was like really big, like her skeletal frame and shit. Let me see if I can find it. I was looking through this just 2 days ago. Yeah, look, there's the Adonis belt. Like, females don't have that. Like, just Adonis belt. Like, lift up the shirt. He has an Adonis belt. Look how big the hands are. But they're so hot. What the fuck? That's the point. There's a bunch of elite people laughing that you're jerking off over a bunch of dudes. Like, look at that torso. That's a dude's torso. Like, that's a dude. I guess they chose a pretty one. We could do a live stream of just Instagram trannies. Can I say? I can't say that word. I'm sorry. Another big thing to notice is females don't have calves like that. Females, the calves go down to the ankle. In males, the calves, like, they pop out like that, like a muscle. If you notice, they always try to put the swimsuit right along their Adonis belt. Look at those hands. Holy shit, she could beat me up. He could beat me up. Look at the... They always put the bathing suit by the Adonis belt. Did I miss the clip with Bradley? I must have missed the clip with Bradley Martin. There's no way I would have scrolled down this far. Maybe I did scroll down this far. I'm just trying to find I'm just trying to find a picture of her next to, like, someone else. That's not her alleged mother. Alright, let's see. Like, look how big she is compared to this dude. Like, she's as big as him. Dude, she's legit like 5'10". She's bigger than him. This dude's like jacked. Like, jacked 5'10", and she's bigger than him. It's fucking funny. I don't know. There's no point. There's no point in talking about this shit. Here's a pretty good. All right, so here's a good one. Look how big she is, or he is. Are you gonna tell me that's not a dude's ass? And to think I used to want to look like half of these dudes. Yeah, I mean, Summer Rae is a very, like, it's a very hard one to tell. They do a good job. All right, we're done with the transvestigating for today. I'm over it. Well, you guys. So we'll try to maintain the live stream schedule to some degree. Maybe I'll do. I don't know if I'll just start doing Freemason live streams until this asshole stops scheduling live streams at the same time as me, because it's completely ridiculous. But you guys can go over and harass Primal Edge Health later about being a member of a secret society that rapes and abuses children. Maybe it'll eventually get on his nerves enough, or he'll just have to ban everyone. When are the supplements coming back? Not sure yet. What about the TikTokers? Oh yeah, most of them are probably... The TikTokers are mostly, from what I've seen, mostly MTF. But thank you guys for joining me. We'll do another live stream on Saturday. Maybe we'll just do Q&A, I think. And then I've tried Frank, he just bans you. Primal Edge Health just bans people. He banned me, but I have some other accounts. If you guys donate to him and say some shit to slander him and it goes off on his live stream, just send me a screenshot and I'll pay you back for the donation. Like whatever you donate to him to slander him, send me a screenshot or like a live capture of doing it, and I'll pay you the donation plus extra money for doing it. I'm not gonna like do it myself. But again, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Try to stay positive, I guess, with all the deception and nonsense. No one's gonna donate like $1,000. Like no one's gonna do that. Like if someone donates like 10 or 15 bucks, that's one thing. But like someone donates $1,000 like that, no one's gonna do that. But I'll see you guys for tomorrow's